Greetings and welcome back to Doctor Who Revisited, where I go through every single episode of Doctor Who from 1963 all the way up to 2023 and review them. And this one is the season finale for season 10, the 10th season of the show. You know, the decade anniversary season, The Green Death. I honestly don't have much to say about this episode. It's not one of my favorites of the Third Doctor era, but I think I said this in my previous review, or at least one of them. I don't think there's a bad episode in the Third Doctor's era. It's just not every one of them is great, and this is one of them. The episode itself, I think the first two parts of it kind of drag. They really do take their time to get to the main plot. Once the giant maggots show up and the evil computer thing is established, I think the episode really does pick up. But I think that it takes a little too long to get there. And I get it. I mean, it's a six-parter. There's a lot of things you need to set up. It's world building, it's story building, it's whatever. I just feel like, this episode doesn't have the pizzazz that most of the other Third Doctor episodes have. This episode kind of feels, hey, it's an episode. Let's make an episode. It's another one of those highly political episodes because, Doctor Who's filled to the brim with those. They talk about pollution and greener energy. I mean, the episode's literally titled The Green Death. I don't think you can be more on the nose than this. Actually, you know what? Scratch that. You can be. Watch the episode itself. I mean, they're literally talking about more petrol means more pollution. They're talking about an alternate food source to replace meat. And they kind of establish and they kind of manage it at some parts of the episode. I mean, there's political peaceful protests in this episode. So yeah, this episode is definitely political. There's no two ways about it. And they talk about how humans are basically ruining their own planet just by virtue of what they're doing and trying to save up some more money and stuff like that. It's fine if you're into that sort of stuff. I just think for some reason it doesn't really do it for me in this episode, and it's fine, I guess. I think like I said, the evil AI computer that gets ideas above the station, that to me is a very good Doctor Who villain. Like an evil AI computer. Again, beating you over the head with it. AI is going to take over. Artificial intelligence is going to kill us all. The age of the robots is upon us very, very soon. It's all stuff that we heard before and after this episode, especially after. I mean, it's basically it's a precursor to the Terminator, I think. With the Terminator or the Matrix, I suppose. AI getting too ahead of itself and eventually deciding that humans are obsolete, or as they put it in this episode, inefficient, just complete AI takeover of the world. But yeah, the computer itself is terrifying in concept, and it's made even more so by how playful it is. Like I kind of feel it's a really interesting idea that the computer realized that humans make mistakes, that humans are not efficient, so he took over the guy's Stevens. He took over Stevens' mind and forced him to reprogram itself, the computer, to make him also inefficient, so he can see all the flaws in humanity. That's really clever, I think. That's what makes them such a great threat for all the human characters in this episode. He still can't beat the Doctor. I mean, when the Doctor is forced into a one-on-one confrontation with him, the Doctor easily beats him with a logic question. And when he tries to take over the doctor's brain, the doctor's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just making some sums and calculations in my head to keep me occupied while to stop me from falling asleep." I think is what he said. So yeah, you can't beat the doctor. No human computer can. And eventually they let him go. And yes, it's an so I like that. I like the unit presence in this episode. First of all, let's talk about Joe. I think this really is a very good Joe Grant episode. I mean, right from the start, you can see that she's making a stand, that she's fighting for what she believes in. It's the activist in her, and I like that. I really appreciate that in the character of Joe Grant, and you can kind of tell that the writing is on the wall from the start. Like you can kind of see that she's gonna leave the doctor in the first part of the serial before it even gets to the how or why she leaves him and for who she leaves him. And I just love the progression of her relationship with Cliff in this episode. They they really start on the wrong foot in this episode. They continue on that path of the wrong foot, and eventually, over time, over the course of the 6 parts of the serial, they really grow close and attached to each other. They start developing feelings for one another, and when he suddenly springs the whole marriage on her right at the end, she just goes with it, and it seems like the most natural thing ever for her. And I just love that moment where they're all so excited and happy about getting married and whatnot, and they just announce it to all their unit friends. They say, "We're getting married." And just look at Mike Yates's face when they say that, because it's no secret that Joe and Mike kind of had a bit of a thing all throughout her stay in unit, and just to see his face drop in an instant and then immediately light back up because he's happy for his friend, that to me is some just great acting by Richard Franklin. May he rest in peace. He sadly passed away several weeks ago as of the recording of this video, not when it's uploaded, but yeah, he will be missed. He's a tragic loss. Joe Grant herself, of course, Katie Manning, took to Twitter. She's very active on Twitter, by the way. You should probably follow her. And she talked about, she said some really nice things about him. And she also said a lot of nice things about Stuart Bevan, who, of course, played Dr. Clifford Jones in this episode, who, by the way, they were actually married in real life, Katie Manning and Stuart Bevan, at least for a while. Definitely during the filming of this episode. So if it seems like they have great chemistry, you know why. Yes, so it's a tragic loss of both Richard and Stuart. But thankfully, Katie Manning's still with us, and yay, the legacy of Joe Grant continues, and maybe we can see her on the upcoming season with Shuri Gagwa, Russell T. Please make it happen. You already brought her back once or twice. But yeah, there's that. I think the giant maggots idea is, scary, kind of limited by the budget they had at the time and the effects they had at the time. But the idea is scary. I mean, you can't kill them. No matter how hard they try all throughout the episode. And how ironic it is that the thing that they was set up at the beginning of the episode, the fungus that's going to replace meat, that's what ends up killing them, and they still love it. They still, the people still eat it by the dozen, But yeah, so it's kind of weird. I think it's kind of sending a bit of a mixed message. Like, you want people to eat the fungus instead of just eating meat. Because it's more humane, it's vegan, and it has the same amount of protein as meat. But then you also establish the fact that that's the only thing that can kill those giant maggots. The thing you want people to eat instead of meat. Really mixed messages here. I don't know what you're doing. But yeah, there's that. Speaking of Mike Yates, though, I just love the infiltration and espionage scene. I think he kills it. He nails it in the undercover scenes. I love the moment where he just shoves the guy into the elevator and just excitedly walks over to the doctor. And speaking of which, oh yeah, the doctor is now a master of disguise. I like him as disguised as the milkman, and even more so as the cleaning lady. I love that. It's one of the elements of uh, espionage and infiltration that the unit episodes set up so well. And of course, this episode, it really does foreshadow a lot to come with the character of Mike Yates in the next season. We're not here to talk about that just yet. But yeah, the moment of just, I like your handbag. Oh, really? Do you? Well, be careful I don't smack you with it. I love the Third Doctor's comedy. But yeah, I think this episode, it exists. The main takeaway from this episode is, of course, the departure of Joe Grant. He's been a loyal and faithful companion for 3 seasons now. Not a lot of companions do that, and I think while the episode itself is not high on my list, I mean, it's worth a watch just for the final scenes between the Doctor and Joe. It just really emphasizes that point again. The Doctor doesn't handle goodbyes very well, and he doesn't. And when he hears that Joe's leaving him, he doesn't really know how to take it. I mean, he just drinks his champagne and leaves. And while everyone's happy and excited, the Doctor, hiding the tears, hiding his emotions, taking one last look at the place, and just drives off in Bessie with the sun in the background. Or is it the moon? Because it's kind of weird. It's dark out, and when he drives away, there's something that resembles the sun. That's kind of weird. But yeah, that aside, one of the most beautiful and best ways to end a season. I remember when I watched it for the first time years and years and years ago, I was sobbing. I was crying at how beautiful and emotional that scene was. And it's done with no music, and I'm grateful for the Murray Gold music in the modern series. I'm grateful for that any day. But it's done with no music, no dialogue, no nothing. You get everything you need just from the acting and the scenery, and I love that. It's a very beautiful, one of the most beautiful departures for a companion in all of Doctor Who, and I really really like that. Some other points I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, the Doctor finally gets to Metapelas 3 after trying for pretty much the entire season, and he finally actually manages to get his hands on the blue sapphire that he was trying to get. And I kind of like the creatures there. A lot of it is kind of really foreshadowing things to come in the next season, particularly with the blue sapphire thing. And I really like that the thing that he kind of went off on a whim to try and get one of those blue sapphires, it actually becomes useful in the episode itself, because he uses it to dehypnotize Mike and other people. So yeah, who knew? I mean, that's serendipity right there. But yeah, so some cool stuff in this episode. Again, not the best, not my favorite, but Joe Grant will be missed. And that's all I have for now. So see you guys in the next season. Make sure to let me know what you think about this episode, and I'll see you next with what is, in my opinion, the best companion. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So see you then. Goodbye. Hi there. Thank you for watching the video. And if you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.